Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Player 3 podcast. I am your host, Luke Croft. Alongside me, we have the always visually stunning Larry Hunt.
Hi.
People on the podcast can't tell that you were staring just
into the souls of the viewers.
Yeah. And then here on my other side, we have he can fix you a nice, delicious glass of Pepsi and steal your daughter's heart, ladies and gentlemen, Doug Martin.
Hello.
And next to him, we have Benjamin D. Hankins. The D stands for Done Put Down the Snow, which it hasn't yet. We are recording this podcast early on a Monday morning, 10:30, if 10:30 counts as early.
It does.
Because we're supposed to be getting like 6 inches to a foot of snow over the next 12 hours or so.
And that's a lot for us.
So we wanted to get together so we could go and do the rounds and eat food and shop at Marshall's.
So Southerners, be sure to flood the stores to get your bread and milk.
That's right. We were just having this conversation, but let's have it for the people who will be listening on the podcast about just how ridiculous winter in the South is. We're from Virginia, which I guess is technically the South.
I'm not from here.
Well, you're from West Virginia, but you live here now.
Yeah, and it's a joke.
Secessionist fools.
People tend to think that, hey, we got to cancel school when it's. Okay, Diz is telling me things. It's probably just my internet, Dizzy.
What's wrong?
He said the stream is just keeps buffering every 5 minutes.
Oh.
Because it's playing pretty clear on here. But anyway, they say that they're like, we can't start the buses when it's this cold, and I'm like, they have buses in Alaska, I'm sure. You know?
I doubt it. They have sled dog teams. School sled dog.
How awesome would that be?
Mush Balto, we're late for class.
Fun fact, Diz's dad used to train a sled dog team.
Did you do the Iditarod?
I don't think. His dad goes through things.
Hey, Diz, did your dad do the Iditarod?
He wanted to do the Iditarod for all of you people listening
Okay.
on. That would be real awesome. We had a chemistry teacher when I was in high school who was best friends with a lady whose husband did the Iditarod every year, which is a brutal race, apparently.
It's like, I don't know, how many miles?
It's a bunch of miles and it takes place over the course of days. I don't know. Anyway.
Can I do a shout out?
Yeah.
I think that's my brother.
Oh, I heard that.
Happy birthday, Wyatt. I love you, and I'm proud of you, even though you're a traitorous fool who went to Marshall.
Secessionist fools.
Is it your birthday
It's his birthday.
today?
And he
Yeah.
loves the songs.
He's been watching us since episode 2.
He does love the songs because you don't like the songs.
Super fan Wyatt, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We are the Player 3 podcast. We get together every Monday and talk about video games. It's normally later than this, but we still drink just as much coffee.
Video games. Video games.
That is not ours. But anyway, you can find us on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, all those places that you like to listen to your podcast. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube, and we post it as a video. Follow us on Twitch, and you can watch the live stream.
Podbean, Blueberry, Twitch, iTunes, all those things.
All right. And we're going to get this podcast started like we get every podcast started off. And Ben didn't get to sing last week, so he's probably going to ham it up real good with the releases of the week.
Releases of the week. Clap, clap.
Happy birthday, Larry. Happy birthday, Wyatt.
Happy birthday, Wyatt.
Happy birthday, Larry.
All right. Releasing on both consoles this week, we only have one title, and that is Dead or Alive 5, last round. Told this to Dizzy. He said, they're still making that game?
They're still making that game?
They're still making that game?
This is the last round.
I think
Dead or Alive 5? I thought they already did 5.
They do like Dead or Alive 5. It's like Street Fighter when they do Street Fighter, and then like Street Fighter 4, then Street Fighter 4X, and Street Fighter 4X2. Like they had a billion Street Fighters. It's like that same way with Dead or Alive.
How long do you think we've been podcasting?
I have no idea. Way to start the timer, Larry. You're the best.
You're the best around.
Happy birthday,
Larry's
Larry.
showing in the jingles.
All right. That's enough of that.
Control yourselves.
Yes. Gosh. All right. And then dropping on the PlayStation this week, here we go. The big title coming out, and we'll spend a minute talking about this. The Order 1886 is hitting the PlayStation 4 this Friday.
My God.
So not a Tuesday release, a Friday release, much like they did with The Last of Us. I'm excited about this game. Seth is excited about this game. I believe Ben is getting excited about this game. What I want to talk about for a quick minute on this is that there was an article that VG247 put out saying that the Orders campaign, some people were able to get through it in 5 hours. Now, that is basically a speed run through it, like people just trying to blitz through the game. And so it doesn't concern me very much, but it's brought up a good topic of conversation because all of those people on like Reddit and those different forums who just know how to read the title of an article and not the actual article overreacting to it start talking like, if it's just 5 hours, it's not worth $60. And I agree to an extent with that. But if we're talking about length of a game, what does length go into account for you with your purchase? And if so, how long do you think a game should be to warrant a $60 purchase?
You know, for me, it definitely does. It does matter. But you know, if you're buying a game for story, you're playing it for the story. You shouldn't have Larry's stopwatch out watching the whole time, and just like, how much money can I get out of this game in this one playthrough? It's probably not more than a 10 or 12 hour campaign at the most. But, you know, what do you want? You want Skyrim? It's not that.
We did like a kind of a comparison thing and figured out. They said they did speed runs of Last of Us, which is considered kind of a shorter game, but in 3 hours? Is that what it said?
It was like 3.5, 4 hours were the speed runs for that, and that was what, a 15-hour, average 15-hour game.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I would say 9 to 10 hours.
Yeah, because with the order, it's new and people don't know all the quirks of it yet, and so length doesn't matter as much as quality does. And everything I've seen from the order being released so far has been top quality. And like if the story's good, if it does a good job telling the story, I mean, even if it's like 7 or 8 hours long, that's not a big deal to me. But from all accounts, it looks like it's probably closer to the 10 to 12 range.
Right, and if it's something good, then it's going to be something that, you know, you're not going to mind going back and playing again, maybe trying to platinum.
Yeah, I imagine there's probably, you know, different difficulties, and you may unlock a difficulty when you beat the game for the first time, giving you the ability to go back. I'm not real big on playing through a game over again, and so with this, I enter into this purchase understanding I'm not getting a Skyrim, I'm not getting a Fallout, I'm not getting a big 100-hour game. But if I go in with the right expectations and they deliver on the expectations that I have nothing to complain about. And so I go in understanding if it's a 10 to 12-hour game, I'm going to play through it once, and if I enjoy it, it's worth the purchase for me. Like why do we have to fit video games into this box of what they're supposed to be? Like,
I like to think of it as, and I actually read an article reviewing Evolve where they kind of did the same thing. What do you pay to go to a movie? Like $10, $15, depending on where you are in the country.
yeah.
And that's for like, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours of entertainment? You're buying a game, what is this? At the bare minimum, we're saying maybe it's 8 hours long. Well, what's 8 times 10?
80.
80? Boom, you got a deal. And you're actually interacting with this game and playing it, and you know you're that much more involved in the process. And it's going to be one of the most cinematic stories that we've probably definitely seen this year, but probably in a few years. It looks great.
Yeah.
I had a professor once who liked to measure all of the things that he bought in hours worked, so he'd take his hourly wage. And
Right.
so this is an $80 life experience for $60. It's quite a deal.
There you go.
There we go. By the order.
And if you guys remember, well, I don't know if it's kind of speaking to that cinematic point. If you guys remember, I don't know if you guys listened to the Beyond podcast.
Beyond.
They rest in peace. They did when Alien Isolation came out, they did a little talk about it, and everybody complained that game was way too long. That you got to the end, and then it kept going for like 3 or 4 hours because people wanted to fit it into a window of it's $60. We want to make it worth that. And everybody I had heard reviews from for that game said if they would have just ended it there at that ending instead of having tacking on that extra 5 or 6 hours just to make it seem like you're getting a better game, it would have been a much better game because it was just so drawn out and the ending just seemed so kind of added at last minute to make that time gap better and to make it seem like you're getting a better game.
Well, that game though looked like, when I first learned of it about a year ago, I was thinking like, it looks just like Outlast, just Alien Isolation. It's an Alien version. It's based on the Ridley Scott movie from back in the day.
Yeah.
And it looked like maybe a $20 DLC game, and I'm sure they probably just wanted to get the most bang for their buck. You know, Sega's slowly fading out of the world.
I think the problem is like when you start saying, okay, this order game is going to be even if it is a 6 or 7 hour game, like you start saying, is it worth me buying a 6 or 7 hour game for $60? You start making developers think, okay, people aren't going to buy our game if it's not a certain length, and if we have to tack all this extra crap into our game to make it worthwhile to buy. And that's a mold I don't want people to start following, because I don't want to just get a bunch of fluffer stuff where if that game's going to be good for 5 or 6 hours, I'll pay $60 for a solid, very awesome experience for 5 or 6 hours. Like that's
like $9.50 to $10 an hour.
Yeah. So I mean, if I'm not gonna if I'm gonna, but I don't want to. I mean, I wouldn't pay like $60 for a 30-minute experience, but for something that's solid as that's going to be, and it's interactive, and I feel like you can play through it multiple times. It may not play exactly the same, but you can play through it and figure out things you didn't figure out before, that kind of thing. The immersion's really where it is for me, and not so much the time. I love the time. I love long games like Skyrim and Fallout, but the immersion's really where it is for me. And I think once you start boxing the developers in on that time restraint, that's when it starts getting bad.
No boxes, guys.
That's right. So I'll be streaming this later this week. I'm going to pick it up. Well, and here's the good thing about this game. The review embargo lifts, I think, 16 hours before the release of it. So you're going to have time to kind of get in there and read what you think about it and make a decision.
I'll be working Friday, so I'm probably going to go pick it up Monday on the rounds.
Word. Yeah, I'll
probably
probably
get it
pick it
Monday
up.
Assuming they have copies.
I'll probably pick it up Friday after work.
Well, yeah.
I
I'll
won't be
in
picking it up.
Durham.
And it's all dependent.
Rary doesn't own a PlayStation.
It's okay, buddy. It's all right. All right, we're also releasing on the console that Larry doesn't own. We have Hand of Fate releasing digitally. I'll read the description. Beyond the 13 gates at the end of the world, the game of life and death is played. Draw your cards, play your hand, and discover your fate. Hand of Fate is a hybrid roguelike action RPG deck builder in which the player builds a set of cards into a deck, which is then used to deal out the dungeon floors through which they adventure. The whole card deck thing seems
like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, I mean, you had Yu-Gi-Oh, you had Pokemon, you have Magic still is a very popular thing, and the beauty of those sorts of games is that they get people around the same table to play, and it almost seems kind of counterintuitive to the genre to create an online experience of it. But League of Legends is blown up, and that's card based, right?
Yeah, you're like no.
What's the card? No, it's Hearthstone. I'm an idiot. I think Hearthstone is the card-based one.
Well, bless you, Larry. It's the digital table. You're all set around the digital table. I don't see you guys during the week because we work very different schedules. But every once in a while, we get to meet up on the dance floor of time and space in the digital world.
That's so beautifully put. I don't know how to disagree
And then
with
when
you.
you don't have people that when you have people like you guys who don't want to play deck builder games with me, I can play with other people.
I've got a grass
and I
fire
like
deck that
card
will wreck
games.
you.
I got a lot of Magic cards.
I'm talking about Pokemon.
All right,
I got a lot of Pokemon cards too.
Moving on.
I got Yu-Gi-Ohs and
no
Dragon
one
Ball Z
cares.
cards.
Absolutely nobody
I wanna play.
cares.
I wanna play.
There's zero people that care.
Larry cares.
I care.
Larry doesn't care. He is not people.
I care.
If he cares, he's not people. All right. Also releasing on PS4 digitally, we have Paparazzi. It's a 2-player game of cat and mouse. So it's basically this pixelated game where one person's a celebrity, one person is the paparazzi. You run around trying to hide while the paparazzi tries to take your picture.
That's really creepy.
Yeah. Then we have also releasing digitally Pillar, lost in an intimate snowy town. A pallet of individuals are in.
A palette of individuals.
That's what it says.
What did I say? I said intimate, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm laughing.
Oh, okay. A pallet of individuals are in search of a mysterious artifact said to bring great knowledge and understanding. Lead each character through their quest in this collection of minigames, each with unique personalities and challenges. Maybe their paths aren't so difficult after all. So this game's going to be really easy.
Palette
You and
of
I,
individual.
we're not so different.
And then Qbert rebooted. This is
Ballin'.
this is the arcade game, the critically acclaimed
you
and
don't have
commercially successful arcade game from the 1980s.
You
I
don't have
thought
a
that next
PlayStation,
title
Larry.
was Thesaurus of Montezuma.
Yeah, well, we're not even going to talk about that one because it's only releasing on PS3.
Well, I would have been pretty interested in seeing that Thesaurus.
And then you have Trivial Pursuit Live on PS4 releasing digitally. It's the modern twist on the world's most well-known trivia game,
I think I'm
Trivia,
most excited
which
about
is
that.
not true anymore. I would say Trivia Crack. I'm just kidding. I just say that because I'm addicted to Trivia Crack at this moment. Have you played Trivia Crack?
What do you do with it?
Yeah, I get real excited for about 48 hours, and then I get real bored because no one plays fast enough, and then I lose all my games because I didn't finish.
Let's play each other.
Okay. I'll
You
start.
you start a game up with me right now.
Can I play with you guys?
I mean, we can't like.
One-on-one.
You can only.
Gosh, it's loud.
Oh my gosh! Silence your phone, Larry. I had to check mine to make sure it was silenced. Yeah, like you could play him, I can play you, and you know.
Oh, okay.
But you can't.
You guys
I'll
want to play Clash
each
of Clans with me?
other. Heck no.
No.
Not
I'd
even a
rather
little.
die.
It's so good.
All right, so that's all of your releases of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
Releases of the week. Clap, clap.
Oh,
Happy birthday,
guys.
Wyatt.
Guys, I almost forgot. We got a new review this week.
Oh.
Hey!
Hey, if you enjoy our podcast, head on over to iTunes. Not iTunes.com. Just find us on iTunes.
There were no Xbox releases this week?
Yeah, we have
Nothing
one
exclusively.
that are alive.
Nothing exclusively for Xbox.
That's right. You're right, Ben.
This is from Spac Jones, who is also a Twitter follower of ours, at Spac Jones. Go follow him. He says, great pod, but if you leave a review for us, we will read it just like we're about to read this one on the podcast. It says, quality pod, which means podcast, with gamers who seem like me, which I really like. They also have a great range of games they discuss. I'm a sports and shooter game fan. Great opinions and funny host. What more do you need? Keep it up, guys. Thank you, Spac Jones.
Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
You're the best.
Thanks, buddy.
And the reason that we have a pool of games to discuss is because we all kind of enjoy different things. We overlap in areas, but
Yeah, I really hate sports games, for example.
I know. That's why you were so silent for so long.
One time I wandered off for 15 minutes in the podcast while you guys talked about NBA 2K or
Sports.
something.
Sports.
That is true.
Energy.
You went to the
Sports.
bathroom like 3 times.
No, that was the day I cut my mouth open.
And you also made a lot of coffee that day.
Did he?
You made coffee during the podcast. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was falling asleep because of how boring your sports games are.
Sports. Energy.
Moving on.
In a rocket can. Rock. All right. So now we are moving on to news.
News with the podcast, guys. Happy birthday, Wyatt.
All right. First item on the list. We have a lot of news today. And oh, thank you. You're keeping up with it to some degree.
Give me
You'll
that
have
sweet-
to add
That's fine.
these times
Yeah,
to.
that's-
You'll have to math it up.
That's fine.
Math.
I am decent at math. 2 plus 2.
I can math.
At least greater than 3.
It would have to be. Like that's
That's
Just-
basic science.
that's just common sense, guys.
Common.
You learned that in like 11th grade.
That sounds like a rapper.
It's
That would be a
rapper.
great. that would
Common
be a
sense.
great- All right. Anyway, first item on the list. We got to move quicker than that.
Okay.
EA is teasing Titanfall 2 as multi-platform. This isn't really news, but it was just kind of something that sprang up again. And we haven't really had a chance to talk about multi-platform Titanfall. We're all big Titanfall fans. I don't think it really matters because we'll all end up
have
buying it on
Xboxes.
Xbox.
Yeah.
But Larry,
We just buy it on
we spent a long
PlayStation.
time talking about. What? The 3 of us should buy it on PlayStation. Oh wow, that was aggressive.
Dang.
Larry,
Yeah, I was gonna do that
multi-platform
last gig
Titanfall.
out.
First of all, give us your thoughts on the exclusivity of the first Titanfall.
From what I understand, Respawn kind of got screwed over with that deal, and that's kind of messed up. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're not with any developers, so we can say whatever we want.
I meant screwed up.
Oh, yeah. That's
Okay. Over.
Beep.
Screwed over. Let's go back and bleep that out. So that was kind of crappy for them. But let's be honest, that game single-handedly put Xbox into the fight
To be
that early on.
honest.
I would also just like to point out if I went back and bleeped out the screwed up part, it would sound much worse.
Oh man. So going multi-platform, that's cool. More people get to play it, but I think this really just highlights the fact that Xbox is in desperate need of some exclusives. They're not really putting any out.
Some
Which is
decent-
surprising.
Well, some competitive.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have Tomb Raider, which is a beloved franchise, at least timed. You're going to have Quantum Break, which will be all-time exclusive. You're going to have Halo 5 Guardians.
Which
Like,
I'm not confident in, though.
Yeah, but I mean, the hardcore, like us looking at it critically, but most people are like, Halo 5, here's $60. Hey, I'll buy the special edition for $120 or however much it's going to cost. Yeah.
But as for the game itself, I don't care. I'm excited about Titanfall 2. Let's do this.
Yeah.
That game was freaking awesome.
Yeah, they learned a lot from their first run, and the way that they treated their customers as far as like post-release support should be the model and standard of all other games of like, hey, we recognize and hear what you're saying about the product we released, and we're going to fix it, and we're going to fix it for free, for the most part. I mean, you had to pay for the map packs, but game modes like.
As far as map packs, though, even
is there still a
the
thing?
DLC was great. All those maps were awesome. It wasn't the same maps again and again.
Are they still having a deal in the DLC? I think I missed that.
Yeah, you just if it's not on, just wait a couple weeks. It'll be back. This would have been news that, and it was news that really excited me when I was just a PS4 hunter. But I mean, we say it all the time. Like things not being exclusive, if they don't need to be exclusive, is the best thing in the universe for a gamer. Because you just have a community that's more and more excited about it. You have two communities now offering feedback on this game to Respawn, and so it's just going to result in a better game. And they're going to sell like hotcakes on both consoles, and so they'll have plenty of money.
What if
to
they have a
continue
dedicated
developing.
story mode though in the second one?
Well, we'll see.
A lot of people asked for that, so I would. I don't know.
Like a co-op story mode would be awesome. For your friends go in and just start wrecking stuff with Titans. Man. Destructible environments.
Destructible environments.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they need.
Well, if they
Gosh,
did
can
what
you-
they did just with cutscenes, then that would be. I wouldn't mind that at all. I didn't necessarily mind the way that their campaign was set up, but I just had no idea what was going on the whole
The
time.
storytelling was not done.
It was just
You
within
can keep,
the.
you can
like,
keep it online to a point,
Yeah.
but if you could work some cutscenes in there, that'd be a lot. Make it so.
I never finished the story. Was it just in the top corner? Is that all they like the talking?
The guy's talking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you imagine if you're like running across a skyscraper and the Titans at the bottom just start wailing on it and just bring it down so you can't get away? That'd be sweet.
There's just
There are endless
Titanfall 2
possibilities.
Titanfall 2 is going to be awesome, but
Even without destructible environments.
Yeah.
If they don't do
That
it.
game is a lot of fun. We need to play it. Let's play it tonight.
and I can.
We're all gonna be snowed in.
Well, if we're all going to be playing something, we should be streaming Halo 3.
Yes.
Right? Mark it on your calendars, boys and girls. Twitch.tv/player3podcast/ all these guys and stuff, and we're going to be streaming.
It's gonna be so awesome.
We'll get there. We'll get
so
there.
excited.
Okay. Here's some more big news concerning E3, and we're going to do some wild speculation here, but save it because we're going to talk about this first, then we're going to wildly speculate.
Remind me.
Bethesda is going to be hosting their own E3 press conference, and so your big hitters you're going to have Microsoft and Sony. Obviously, you're going to have EA. You're going to have who else does it? Ubisoft does one.
So what is this, like anti-prom?
Nintendo, and then you're going to have Bethesda.
Oh, you're saying they're having their own thing at E3.
Yeah.
I thought
they're
you were
gonna
saying
have
that
their-
they were having another E3
No.
that they were hosting, and it's like those kids that don't want to go to prom.
No, they're gonna or the Miller Scott at Johnson University, and I just ended up going to IHOP every time because nobody loves me except my wife now.
I do.
Nobody loved you.
Nobody loved me.
Everyone loves you
except
now.
the lady at IHOP who allowed me to steal the carafe that the orange juice comes in. Thank you.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
I have an
that's where that
IHOP
came
carafe.
from.
Yeah. I
Where is
stole
it?
By asking the lady if I could have it, and she said no, but you can take it. And I said, all right.
No, but I will look the other way. I hate my job.
We've all been
I
there.
got to steal something from Captain Tom's. What can I steal from Captain Tom's?
I will find you.
You don't need.
You won't.
Oh,
find
you
me.
won't let him steal anything? Can I steal like a number 3?
Combo?
Do you guys have number 3s?
The
Can
number
we get
3.
video evidence of you giving them permission to steal stuff?
Can I steal? Can I steal a 3 fried combination?
Okay, anyway, so Bethesda is
You can
going to
run,
be
baby.
having their own E3 press conference, but the best part about this for Bethesda is that they get to go first. They get to kick the whole thing off. You know, normally it starts on Monday, and you have Microsoft and you have Sony go. No, you have Microsoft, then you have EA, Ubisoft. Sony finishes it. Nintendo goes Tuesday morning right before the showroom floor opens. Bethesda's going Sunday night.
Wild
So-
speculation. Fallout 4.
Okay, hold on. We're getting there, man. We're talking about why this is good for Bethesda, and you got to sing the song.
Oh,
That's the way it works.
well, eventually.
You're going to sing the Wild Speculation
Yeah.
song,
Okay,
and we're going to
okay.
jump into it.
Okay,
all right?
I understand now.
But this is awesome news for Bethesda. I think in order for them to do this, it means they have to have a lot of stuff in store to talk about because this better not be 45 minutes of talking about the Elder Scrolls Online.
Skyrim belongs to the Nords.
Or the
don't
high
understand
elves.
that reference. All right, we're moving on to wild speculation.
What?
What speculation?
Wait, we're done with news?
We're not done with news. We're
Oh,
wildly
we're jumping
speculating
around. Okay,
in
I
the
gotcha.
midst of news. We are
This is-
injecting it. We are turduckering it.
Happy birthday, Wyatt.
We went to sleep, and then we went to sleep in the van, and now we're in the third level.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And now we're going to wake up in the van.
It's turducking. It's neculation, news and speculation. It's speculation rammed into
Sounded
news.
Spews.
Weird. Spews.
Spews. There you go. All right. Wildly speculating. Bethesda obviously is going to have a 90-minute to a 2-hour window to kind of make all their announcements. They've got to fill that up. What are they filling it up with? Seth, you already spoiled yours.
Fallout 4, but I've got this. I'm
Probably
trying.
not
I'm
that.
trying to make it words. You play the role of Adam, who is a molecule in the bomb, and you're the whole thing is about your internal struggle with your life. You're living like you're playing a role-playing game, and
So
you are Adam the Atom.
So you're the
and
god of their
basically
religion.
you're splitting up inside. It's an internal struggle. And you're, you're splitting the atom. That's how the
Yes.
explosion,
Yes.
the nuclear rolls out of
Thank
it. And really, like by the end of the game, you're a whole different person than you were before, or a whole different molecule, and you've just divided. And a house divided cannot stand.
So
But it
you're
can blow stuff up.
so you're the god that that Cromwell worships in Fallout 3.
Yes. No. Maybe.
The Church of the Son of Adam.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Megaton.
Oh yeah.
Let's rein in the wild speculation for a second to just ask this question. Do you think Bethesda having their own E3 show is a guarantee that Fallout 4 is getting announced?
I wonder if it's going to be something new altogether.
It could be. I mean, there are no guarantees in this world.
I don't think it's gonna
The
be.
bomb could drop at any time.
I don't think it's gonna be Fallout.
What do you think it's going to be? The plot thickens. I think they're basically just going to stand up there shouting out different Skyrim spells for
Because
an
it's
hour.
what it is like. They go on a change with they do Skyrim, then Fallout, Skyrim, Fallout. They do a 2
Elder
year-
Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls, yeah, Skyrim is the
Skyrim
only
1,
Elder Scrolls
Skyrim
that matters. Skyrim is the only Elder Scrolls that matters. They do Elder Scrolls Fallout, Elder Scrolls Fallout, and that's the kind
You
of.
just made a lot of people angry. Go ahead.
Oblivion was really good. I'm
Elder
sorry.
Scrolls, Fallout. That nuke drops into the middle of Cyrodiil.
Gosh, that would be great.
That's the capital of the place.
The Nords have retaliated with
Tamriel,
magic
of
that this
Tamriel.
world has not yet seen. The Emperor's sitting in the castle. He sets his coffee on the dash.
He sets the coffee on the dash of his cart behind his horse.
I'm with
In
Larry.
his last milliseconds of life, he sees his coffee and then his fingers just evaporate into molecules. It's
The
just-
skin
it's flashed
slowly
into the
begins to boil.
What I think, I'm gonna wild speculate my actual wild speculation here. I think when I say I don't think it's gonna be Fallout, I don't think it's gonna be Fallout 4. That's what I mean. I do think
That's totally different.
I do think
that's,
it's gonna,
that's a completely different thing.
I do think it's gonna be a game within the Fallout universe. But what I think it's gonna be is a Fallout Online, like Elder Scrolls Online.
Nah.
I don't see them doing it after seeing how pitiful Elder Scrolls Online was. I can't see it.
I think it'll be awesome though.
They'll probably talk about Doom 4 a little bit.
I imagine we'll see some Doom.
4.
I do think we're going to see a new IP from them. Like
50 Cent Blood Sands 2.
somebody Googled Bethesda before we started recording. Yes.
It's one of my favorite developers. Last podcast. Listen up,
You
guys.
made the same joke.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Is that
did
all
you
we want to
make the
wildly
same joke?
speculate about? You guys want to continue wildly speculating about Bethesda? What they're going to do?
The Elder Scrolls Doom. So all of the people who died in the war for Skyrim go to the No-No place. Wait, that's a different thing. It's a hell.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I really like the that Bethesda's going to have their own thing because they are one of my favorite developers and they always make quality games except for 50 Cent's Blood Sands.
Well, judge not lest ye be judged. Baby.
I don't know what is happening to this podcast right now. we
Moving
got
on.
you talking about the no-no zone.
Happy
God, you
birthday,
talking
Wyatt.
about God knows what. Oh man! All right,
Happy birthday, Wyatt.
Bethesda. All right, I'm moving on at this point.
No, this is good. We're speculating.
No.
Speculatory.
Oh, anyone else?
343 is.
good.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
They're molding a brand together. 343 and Bethesda.
Okay.
I would love to see them make a new IP because I don't know. They've just got a different feel in their games. They're like very. I don't know. You're playing a Bethesda game, but it would be nice to see them do a different story.
But I mean, what am I trying to say here?
I don't know.
As much as they're identifiable in their games, they all feel very different. Like Skyrim feels different from Fallout, and then you have
Kinda.
well, and then you have linear games like Wolfenstein is a linear game. Like they're kind of who were we talking about a couple weeks ago? And we're like, it wasn't a developer. We were more so talking about how Zelda has thrived across genres and stuff like that. What are you laughing about?
The wastelands belong to the ghouls.
I don't understand any of these references.
Fallout.
Okay, moving on. 343 is canceling the public beta for the new patch coming to the Master Chief Collection. So,
Oh my gosh, who the heck cares?
I mean,
Why
I
would
feel
you
like
do
they've changed their mind 4 different times
I
on this.
hit a new low last night. It's a Larry low. I got on the Master Chief Collection for the first time in probably like a week or so. I had been hitting it pretty hard. I got to that achievement where you for playing like 300 matches or missions, whatever. And so I was like, all right, I'll take a break for a week. I've been hitting it pretty hard despite all the faults. And then I get on last night in my first game. It takes about 10 minutes to load. The loading screens are lagging, and then it was just one of those things where it just kicked me out right before the match started.
Classic.
In the
Master
middle of the
Chief
loading,
Collection.
in the middle of the loading screen where the bar is starting to go, and I was like, "All right, I'm done for the night. I'll be back on tonight." But
Do you think they've moved all of their resources over now that they've gotten stuff from the beta, like feedback from the beta, and they're just like, we're just moving on to Halo 5?
I really kind of get that vibe.
Yeah, like
probably it seems like it's their.
I hope not.
Well, I can't say that, but they've still got to come out with ODST.
yeah.
But and they also made me so mad last night because they took SWAT off of the playlist and they added Team Snipers.
And Rumble Pit, right?
Oh no, they added Halo 4 to Rumble Pit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm really only excited about going and playing Halo 3 with you guys. I have had zero desire to go online and try, just because it's a headache. And we can jump in other things and much more smoothly. And I've been playing Dark Souls.
Gosh, and we can do Grunt birthday party and just make confetti just rain all over everything in Halo 3.
Yes. You were very excited.
I'm so
this
excited.
morning.
I'm so excited.
Had I
Exactly.
known how horrible the multiplayer was going to turn out, I probably would have kept Destiny, because then I could at least play an online shooter with some people.
Everywhere. That is the.
That's
Wow.
news. That is
News. Cancel it all. I'm deleting everything we got here in the drive. We're just going to talk about this for the next 2 hours.
I'm not saying that Destiny is a great game,
I
The
understand
multiplayer is
that.
awesome.
but I'm saying I'd rather eat a turd-flavored brownie than a brownie-flavored turd.
Let's rewind back to like episode 2 or whatever it was when Larry. It's probably the greatest multiplayer experience.
He did
I've ever
say
played.
It is a great multiplayer experience.
That doesn't. I mean, it wasn't redemptive for the whole game for him, and I can understand that. We're going to talk about Destiny
very
here.
true.
If I
in
could
a little
get
bit.
Halo's campaign and Destiny's multiplayer on a disc, that would have been a good year.
Bungie and 343 and Activision all just kind of get in bed together and have this come out.
It's one of those things that sounds good on paper, but then it's like a horrific monstrosity when it comes out.
Yeah, because they end up
months.
packaging Destiny's story along with the multiplayer of Master Chief Collection, and they charge $95 for it.
It's like a centaur from
Speaking of
Fallout 3.
monstrosity, isn't that a good segue?
Monstrosity, because you fight monsters and evolve. You should host this show, Seth,
My God.
and I'll just sit here and. not-
Evolve has over 130 dogs. Go ahead.
Okay, this is where this kind of is going to take a little bit of time because Polygon released an article initially stating that Evolve has over $130 of DLC that is not included in the season pass. However, they went back and corrected themselves, saying that there were individual items that come in packs that they also included. So they were kind of double dipping, and items belonged in it. And so it is $60 worth of DLC, so $70 cheaper. And that's one of those things. It's just like you were looking for a quick clickbait article and you didn't do your research, and when you got called out on it, you went back and corrected yourself. But that's beside the point. That's Journalism 3 podcast. But still, $60 worth of DLC not included in the season pass. The majority of this stuff is cosmetic. Let's see what they got here. Yeah, it's mostly cosmetic stuff that comes in these packs. But what I wanted us to talk about was Day 1 DLC and how we feel about Day 1 DLC. And then I'm going to bring up this Game Informer article here in a couple minutes. But let's just talk very quickly. Initial reactions when you hear there's $60 worth of worth of DLC, the majority being cosmetic for Evolve.
I've been getting upset because I've been looking into buying this game all week, and I've been doing a lot of research because I'm a real cheap dude, and I don't want to waste that money. So I start looking on Amazon, and half the reviews are like 1 star, 2 star. I don't want to buy DLC on day 1 to enjoy this game, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But once you actually look at what the DLC is, like, what's the big deal? It's the same. Call of Duty does the same thing every year. You can buy Snoop Dogg's voice to play through the matches. You can buy some new exos in Advanced Warfare. It absolutely does not affect what you do in this game. Also, Turtle Rock is going to be releasing maps
And game
DLC maps and game modes for free to everyone, no matter whether or not you buy the season pass. That's awesome. I'm probably going to buy this game just to support that. They're also for the people that do buy the season passes and whatnot and do get like the extra monsters and stuff. People that don't buy that content are still going to be allowed to play with those people. So, like, say Luke buys Evolve, which he probably won't do.
No, not a chance.
There we go. Say he buys Evolve, and he buys this new monster. Great, that's great for him. I get together with him and play Evolve. It's not going to boot me out of the match so that he can play with all the other people that have the DLC. It's going to let me hunt Luke as this other monster that I don't have in my repertoire. That's awesome. I'm probably going to buy this game again just because of
I'm going to buy it twice.
I might buy it
it.
twice.
I'm going to buy it again.
Are you really
let's
excited
not
about
be
purchasing
absurd.
it?
And I'm going to go buy my 49-cent coffee.
I might. We'll see. I'll walk around the store with it.
If
a
you
copy
buy it,
of
I'm
in
going
my
to buy
hands
it.
for a few minutes.
Just to let you know.
But I've got to check on that car for
We need to get on
I don't
Xbox
know.
so we can talk Larry into buying it.
Larry has a child.
I've got
Larry
other
has-
friends that are buying it too. So, hey.
Hey.
What I go ahead. Do you have thoughts on this? Because I just lost my train of thought.
I hate seeing that there's DLC available right at launch. This is slightly less annoying because it is pretty much just cosmetic. But the cosmetic stuff is a little dangerous because that's how DLC really started. Was just, you don't need this, but it looks cool. And then it progressed to, you don't have to have this, but it'll increase your stats a little.
Well, this game, you got to think too, is produced by 2K, which is a money machine.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I do think it's a little redemptive because it absolutely does not affect your game whatsoever, unless you just want to look prettier.
That's the thing is, like, this is DLC you don't have to buy to enjoy it. And I've never been a skins guy. Part of this is the problem of it being a new IP, and so we look for every little thing about it to complain about. Not to say there's nothing to complain about within it. But like you said, Call of Duty does this every year, but they get a pass because they're Call of Duty. And maybe not necessarily a pass, but they don't make this big a mess out of it. And, I mean, DLC that divides communities has been like an ever-present thing ever since the last generation. Like, Halo's had DLC maps. They're not available at launch, but Halo 4, what was it, like a month after release? It wasn't very long after the release of Halo 4 that the map pack came out.
Yeah. And they gave you a really crappy selection of maps to start with.
This is true. The thing about Evolve, I think, or part of it, is that it's a new IP, but it's also like it's a first-person shooter, which is probably, I would venture, wild speculation, the most popular game mode out there, or genre, or whatever you want to call it, subgenre. But it's a shooter that we haven't really seen before because it's sort of what I thought Destiny would be a while back to an extent. You've all got your roles. Not everyone's going to be going in guns blazing as assault. You've got one designated healer that has a sniper rifle. Everyone's playing a very certain role, and that's not really going to turn everybody on. So I think they're going to be looking for ways to say, I hate this game. And it's just because they don't understand it or they don't enjoy that cooperative play.
I'm not saying I hate it. I think this DLC, I'm like, yeah, that's dumb, but that's it for me. Like, whatever.
Yeah, it's not a game breaker.
If it was maps or something, then I'd be like.
But those are free.
Not all of them, right?
Yeah.
I thought
the season pass is like a couple extra hunters, like another monster, I think, something like that. Maps, I don't believe, are in the DLC at all. Like
Sure.
the money DLC, they're releasing all their maps for free. They came out with like back in November.
I read that they're coming out after the season pass. They'd be coming out with maps, but
No, I think the season pass only includes extra characters to play as, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's called like the Hunters Pack or something like that.
all
Yeah.
right.
That includes
Well, I'm all right with that kind of like that's fine. That
Yeah,
doesn't change
I think that's
anything.
great news.
Okay, cool.
that includes a hunter that you can't get unless you buy the season pass, though, right?
Several hunters, I believe. The game ships with 12 hunters. I want to say, like 4. What is it?
Yeah, when you can unlock
3
them
for each class.
pretty quick, I think. Too.
Yeah, I unlocked Lazarus in the which is the second healer in the demo,
and that carries over.
it does.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your progress from the beta carries over.
I hope you get this game because I really want to play it with somebody.
This was the interesting article by Game Informer that talked about how cosmetic DLC isn't evil, and this kind of DLC model is actually probably keeping game prices down. And I thought this was a good antithesis, a good argument against
Antithesis.
antithesis against all of the complaining about the DLC for Evolve, and it just talked about how like before. Like on Sega Genesis, on N64, we were still paying $60, $70 for brand new games, and that's 15, 20 years ago. And now today, the games are the same price, and one of the things that we can credit that to is digital DLC. Well, that's redundant because all DLC is digital.
Mm-hmm.
But the downloadable content model that's coming out, and the article. Now, take this with a grain of salt if you want to, because Game Informer is owned by GameStop, who wants to try to cast these games in better light, probably. But it's still interesting to think that 20 years ago we were paying the same price, if not more, for games as we're paying today, and there has to be a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is cartridge-based games cost more to produce than Blu-ray disc-based games or DVD-based games. But another part of it is we have this digital realm that allows companies to narrow the gap of having to mass produce physical content to sell off to its consumers. So initially when I saw it, I was like Larry, and I was like, this is stupid, because I just read the headline, $130, and then the more I look into it, it's like none of this DLC divides the community. The DLC that would normally divide a community that is kind of standard to have to pay for, they're releasing for free in the map packs. And so if this helps Turtle Rock and 2K to narrow the gap of cost of development and to pour resources into other stuff that they're working on, I'm okay with it, because you don't have to buy it.
Yeah. The only thing that bothers me is the DLC model, wherein you have to pay for this if you want to be like the guy that's playing this game. You have to pay for this DLC model. But this right here doesn't bother me.
Yeah, don't lock story content behind a paywall, and don't lock multiplayer out behind a paywall. Like in terms of who I'm able to play with, and I'm cool with all the rest of this stuff. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts from our listeners out there? We'll talk about that. Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on. Insomniac is bringing Ratchet and Clank to PS4. Any Ratchet and Clank fans in here?
I never played any of the games.
I played the first game, and that doesn't really make me a fan. So,
What else did Insomniac do? They did.
Tony Hawk, didn't they?
Yeah, they did Tony Hawk, I think.
Was it?
They did something else too.
Did they take over after Neversoft for Tony
Yes.
Hawk?
I have no idea.
I remember they did. They at least did like the Proving Ground. I'm pretty sure. I think they did Proving Grounds.
I
They
don't
didn't?
know.
Oh.
I have no idea. I'm not looking
Oh.
it up. Anyway, Ratchet and Clank. I feel like the cartoon style games have kind of lost their luster within that realm because people who are interested in those kinds of games are moving over to like Nintendo, and there's kind of been a That's why Naughty Dog looks at Crash Bandicoot and says, "We're not bringing Crash Bandicoot
Well, and
or Jack and Daxter."
the big reason those cartoon games were so popular is because that's like that back when they were so popular, like Ratchet and Clank, that kind of stuff. That was like the that graphics were great when you did a cartoon based game as opposed to doing like a realism game. And now realism's so much better that everybody's like, I want the stuff that looks kind of real instead of cartoony little kitschy stuff, you know.
Well, and the consumer base has grown alongside of the industry, and so we're looking for more mature stories and realistic games. But there's going to be people excited about this. I'm not particularly one of them, and I'm not going to judge anybody that says, they're excited about it.
Well, I'll say if they came up with, I know Insomniac didn't do Jack and Daxter, but if they did a Jack and Daxter bundle or a Jack 4, I would be very excited, and that's a cartoony based game. So
next item on the list because it's
hey,
kind of go
real
ahead.
quick. Someone may be watching the show currently because they just texted me and let me know that Amazon is selling Destiny for $30 currently.
Ooh.
So if you don't have Destiny, that's a pretty good price.
Yeah, you should.
You
pick
gonna buy
back
it?
up.
I'm
You
not
get
a huge fan of it, but these guys liked it. You might like it.
you buy a PS4, you buy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna save money and buy this PS4. Yeah.
No, don't buy a PS4. Just buy a copy of it on PS4.
Yeah, you don't have to buy a PS4.
Because then you can put it in your Xbox and you can play with us on our PS4s. That's how it works,
That's
right?
how it works.
My friend Nathan said, "There you go, Larry. Come back to the game you love more than life."
You must not like life that much. Fatherhood sucks.
That's not true. I love my child.
Rim is
I
really
didn't say anything about your child. I said about fatherhood.
I love fatherhood.
Okay.
being
Um,
dad.
Smell my
Dad.
Old Spice.
Oh my gosh! Please don't do that.
I use the sweat defense, Pure Sport sweat defense, and it smells awesome. Even when you sweat, it like makes your clothes smell good.
What kind of deodorant do you guys use in the Twitch stream? Let us know. All right, moving on. Rare veterans are working for a company called Platonic Games, and they are working on a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. Here you go, Ben. You like Banjo-Kazooie.
It was okay. I wasn't a crazy Banjo-Kazooie fan. What I was more excited about was the fact that Rare was coming up with something else. You know what that does mean? That they could maybe possibly do Rampage for next-gen consoles. That would be awesome.
These are Rare veterans. These are people who used to work for Rare who are working for another company.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. I kind of care. Banjo-Kazooie was fun. I played what was the one for PS2? Crap.
I don't know.
I can't remember. It was you were with a scientist guy, and you had to jump through these portals and go to different things. I can't remember what it was called.
Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. All right.
Yep, that
That's
sounds
it.
right.
No, that's not. That's not even a little bit. What it is. All right, moving on. Telltale CEO Kevin Bruner says their newest IP, this is in an interview with IGN, is, quote, the most ambitious thing the company has ever done, end quote. Wild speculation. Second round of wild speculation. What do you think is so ambitious about?
It's an RPG. That's
Okay.
not That's not question based. It's like an actual. It's like Skyrim.
I do not see that. Telltale has made their money in story-based games. That's what people.
What I think-
people know. That's what people love.
What I think about is like Dragon Age Inquisition is it feels like a Telltale game to me in the fact not in the fighting and stuff, but in the storytelling, like the choices that you make, different people can die, kind of like Mass Effect series, like depending on what choices you make, people get upset about you and you can lose people from your party, that kind of thing.
Well, that's been done in a lot of ways. I mean, Skyrim plays that way. Any Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, but you don't really have a party in Skyrim, like
A party.
a group of people that follow you. Like you have a party in Mass Effect, you've got a party in the Dragon Age
Okay.
games.
You know what I think he means by this? I think he means we are going to update our engine to look really good on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
That'd be real nice.
And I think it's going to, because with Telltale games, they kind of you have the illusion of choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's much like life. The illusion of choice.
Predestination 3 podcast.
But you're being forced through the story. Like, what's going to happen is going to happen. It's just really the setting and who's around for when it's going to happen. But like, the story moves in the way the story is going to move.
Right.
I think this game is going to be, one, upgraded graphically, and two, you really are going to be able to shape the story where there are going to be characters that die, that do things that cause other things to happen in my story that Seth has no idea can even happen because he's played it a different way. Mm-hmm. But like that's my wild speculation. And it is going to be okay. I'm going to think of a story, but you go ahead.
So a legitimate choose your own adventure story.
Exactly, like a Goosebumps novel.
That would be cool. I loved those.
So
and
you're
that's
thinking
what it's going to be. It's going to be a Goosebumps novel. They're going to get up on stage at E3. I don't know if they're going to announce this at E3, but they're going to say, "We have partnered with R.L. Stein to make a choose-your-own-adventure Goosebumps game." And I'll pre-order every copy that they're going to make.
Goosebumps was awesome.
I love Goosebumps.
Here's the thing: are they? You said the updating graphics and stuff. They're gonna get away from like the cell shading and stuff because that's like where they make their money. That's like the.
But I don't think they're gonna. They don't necessarily have to move away from that to make it look good, because Game of Thrones looks terrible. Have you haven't played yet, have you?
I've watched a little bit.
It looks awful. Like, you can do cell shade and make it look awesome.
Yeah.
And they didn't. So they may stick with that art style, but I don't see them. I see them upgrading that to make it look better. You have any thoughts on Telltale?
Not particularly.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
All right, Dying Light is getting a hard mode and new skins for free. Are there
Sweet.
different difficulties?
Yeah.
So you can like choose your difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then as you progress, the zombies get harder to
Yep.
kill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
This is probably like a grounded mode, I would think. Like on Last of Us where you can't see your HUD and stuff, and you can't see like how much ammo and things you have. I would think it'd be like no HUD mode or something.
that'll be cool.
That would be kind of cool. But it would suck because you can't see the damage on your weapons. Like, you can see they deteriorate as you hit stuff, like on the actual weapon does, but there's like a little bar that comes up that shows you how deteriorated it is.
Yeah, they haven't really outlined any of the details of what the hard mode is going to look like. All this information just coming from a short little tweet saying, "You asked for it, we will deliver this as at Dying Light game. The first of many additions to come, hard mode, new skins, coming soon for free." I think really Respawn, going back to Titanfall, has kind of set the pace to say the best way to show customers that you care about them, especially in establishing a new IP, is to say, we're going to release significant chunks of content to you for free. And a new mode like that, and with the skins coming, that's good stuff. I want to buy this game just to support.
It's
Dying
so
Light.
good.
I bet hard mode is the zombies can free run too.
They can climb stuff. Well, there are some that can free run and climb stuff.
All of them.
Like there's like if you shoot your gun and stuff, there's ones that are crazy that'll come after you and like jump up on the place you're at and like chase you, which is real scary.
Nice.
They're not just at night; they get nuts during the day too. So.
You still enjoying this game? You still
Yes.
getting
Yes.
through it? How much of it are you through?
I'm not through a whole lot more than I was the last time we talked. Well, I guess last podcast, but it's I still if I play my Xbox now, that's all I'm playing, and it's it's really I enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy it even more once you guys get it and play it with me.
I want to, but with The Order coming out and then Bloodborne coming out in March, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see, buddy.
I need it to happen.
We'll see.
Okay.
Love you.
I love you.
Ubisoft has reported their sales numbers for the final quarter of 2014, which is technically their third quarter, their fall quarter. They sold 10 million copies of AC Unity and Rogue, 7 million copies of Far Cry 4, and I didn't put this down, I think it was 2 million copies of The Crew. It disappoints me that the game that was most broken in this in that list of games is the one that sold the most.
Right.
Because And, you know, we talked about annualized releases last year. Like, they kind of just have this hype train that goes, and people know when November hits, Assassin's Creed is coming, and we're going to just shell our money into it. And 10 million copies, I think this is sold in, which means shipped. I don't know if this necessarily means, like, push to consumer.
Is that including digital, too?
No, this is just retail. But the thing is like, I was reading about this with these sales numbers. Like, people get all bent out of shape because they're like, this is just what they ship to stores. Like, companies don't ship games to stores that they don't think are going to sell.
Yeah.
You know? And so 10 million gives you a good basis of this. And then more news coming from Ubisoft. I think this is from the same exact article. That Ubisoft confirms that The Division and Rainbow Six Siege and a new Assassin's Creed will be releasing in fiscal 2015 for them.
I'm very excited about that.
For what?
The Division. I don't really care about the other two. I mean, I'll get Rainbow Six Siege if you guys get it, but I'm going to get The Division regardless of who gets it with me, and I'm going to play the crap out of that game. And I don't care about speculation of how bad it's going to be. I'm just in my heart right now. It's going to be awesome. My heart of hearts.
I'm excited about Rainbow Six Siege. I'm really excited about The Division, but Rainbow Six Siege is...
That's the one at E3 where you had to go in and rescue the hostage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks real cool.
Yeah, that game looks awesome.
And that's 4-player co-op.
Yeah, it's going to be similar to Evolve, where it's not going to be fun with randoms, but if we all get it and play it and we all like it, then I think it'll be cool. The concept of Rainbow Six Siege I like more than the concept of Evolve. That's the only reason it interests me more. I'm going to pop your bubbles here, all right? Ben's bubble especially.
Yeah, I know.
I'll believe it, first of all, when I see it. When The Division is in my hands, I still don't think this is coming out in 2015. And he can make all the promises that he wants. This was a CEO, I believe. Or
not
somebody.
me, the CEO.
He can make all the promises he wants. I'll believe it when it's in my hand. Also, this doesn't mean calendar 2015. Their fiscal year runs through March. So January, February, March is considered their winter quarter. So it very easily could mean that The Division is coming in early 2016.
Which I'm okay with.
I'm okay with it too. I'm okay with it just coming whenever
Yeah.
it comes, to play it. Your thoughts, Seth?
I'm excited. I'm not gonna put too many eggs in one basket because I'm tired. And
It's been a long day. So
well, it hasn't been a long day, but I'm just tired. I'm tired of waiting for games and just like, come on, baby, get here, and then all of a sudden I've got it in my hand. I pop it in the console, and I'm immediately disappointed.
Yeah. The Division is ambitious, and it may be overly ambitious. You know, walking around this open world New York City and having like everything tied into the map where you got social zones and multiplayer where you're not having to go back to orbit. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, like I feel like they really have looked at the way that Destiny was received and said, we're going to avoid all that like the plague. And we're going to make sure that we're going to deliver on it. And that's the reason I have a hard time believing this thing's going to come out this year.
And my thing with the whole like waiting on it if it's broken when it comes out, like a lot of stuff we saw with Destiny, we didn't see once we got the game, but we also didn't see our gameplay that we saw at the beginning of the game was pretty it's pretty boxed in. Like you went in, you were with your ghost, you saw and I guess the level that they played was even different because they got an exotic weapon when they left that level, didn't they?
I don't know what
in
you're
the
talking
gameplay
about.
of Destiny, the first few minutes of Destiny when the devs went through and played it, we got all hyped about it. Remember they
I don't think it was an exotic. I know what you're talking about when they fought the walker.
Yeah, but that gameplay, I can look back on that and say everything that I was expecting was going to happen, I was put it in my brain to make it happen. Like I was thinking it was going to happen, but I didn't actually see it happen in the gameplay. But with the Division, everything that I've seen them play through and everything I've seen them do as far as the first few minutes of gameplay or the first little bit of kind of the walkthrough of seeing the random interactions with people and how you talk to the people that are in your party and how you traverse the city, like that all seems like I don't know how they could mess that up from the gameplay. And I didn't add anything from my brain to that to say this is going to happen because of what I'm seeing. Everything I saw was what I thought was going to happen. Does that make sense?
Sort of, but and not just that sentiment. Well, the concept of that sentiment just doesn't mean anything to me because we watched Destiny videos and just pooped our pants over it. Just so many just ruined underwear where we just pooped out of excitement. Just a lot.
There were a
of
lot of things that I added subconsciously though to what I was seeing that wasn't actually the.
But with everything in the division, like I feel like everything we've had to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
You know, and you're filling in the blanks watching the video anyway because you're having to make assumptions about how the gameplay is going to feel. And Tom Clancy games oftentimes have a tendency to feel tight and kind of clunky when you're playing them and not really smooth and fluid. And so gameplay is going to matter a lot. And so we're making a lot of assumptions about the way that the game handles in that. But then just story-wise, we know the premise of it, but like we don't really know much about the end game to it. We don't know how the interaction is going to have. Like you're going in with a lot of assumptions, and a lot of the stuff I'm excited about is stuff that hasn't even necessarily been confirmed. And so I'm with Seth and just like I'm trying to temper my expectations of it because they're saying a lot of the right things, but we've seen companies so far in this console generation say the right things and then not deliver.
Okay.
You
Wonderful.
got it.
January sales numbers have come through and sees PS4 back on top for top-selling consoles. And Dying Light takes the cake as the top-selling software. And I think, again, this is retail across the board for and this is just North America. Me and Larry love talking about the whole like console battle between sales numbers of Xbox One and PS4. Why do you think PS4 took back over in January?
The holidays were over. For one thing, Xbox had a lot of great bundles. People bought their bundles, and I think Master Chief Collection was a big hit. To not in the good way. I mean, it was a hit to the desirability of the Xbox. I think that game single-handedly drove a lot of the sales over the holiday season, and when it was a big flop, those sales did not continue.
Was it Walmart that had the pick the third game bundle, or you got Assassin's Creed and then you got to pick the third game?
I think so.
That's what you bought, right? What bundle did you buy?
I bought just the Master Chief bundle because
I
wasn't
bought,
early enough.
I bought the Ben's bundle with the digital Master Chief Collection, but you got to pick a second game and a second hard copy game, and they gave you like 10 or 12 options to choose from.
Oh, okay, never mind then. That's a moot point that I was going to make. I think that's true. Also, January saw the weird like, hey, we're $349, we're going back up to $399 for a week, and then we're going back down to $349, and so the pricing was weird. Yeah. And I actually heard, I don't remember where I heard this, maybe Podcast Unlocked, or I may have read an article about it on IGN or something about why that was, and they think that this $349 is a permanent price drop now, but that they couldn't just say, hey, we're going to make the $349 price that we had over the holidays the permanent price without taking a break because they advertised it as a limited time only price. And so legally they couldn't just transform it into the permanent price, so they had to like take a break and then lower it back. But that kind of leaves people as consumers confused as to, you know, what they're paying for and what they're getting. And so I think that was part of it. I think Xbox is more of a gift console than the PlayStation 4. A lot of and this is just speculation. I have no numbers to I have no numbers to back this up, but I would imagine there are more Xboxes bought for other people and more PlayStations bought for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I don't know.
Okay. Just throwing
I have
it
no
out
idea.
there.
Really.
But Dying Light on top for software sales, and that was just the man. And I tweeted this out this week where that was just a game who understood the fact that you need to take advantage of your launch window. You need to release a complete game, and you need to communicate well with your base. Like the only place they stumbled out of the gate was, we don't have a review embargo, but we aren't sending out review copies.
Yeah.
And
that didn't bode well, but ultimately they
didn't
released
really
pretty
matter.
flawlessly. It was a great game, and it did well. So I'm not surprised by that.
All right, we have a viewer question here, and if you have any questions, you can post them on the live stream. If you have any questions you'd like us to talk about on the next podcast, if you're just listening to the podcast, email us at player3podcast@gmail.com, or you can ask us on Twitter at player3podcast. GDC, the Game Developer Conference, is March 2nd through the 6th. Xbox is going to have a huge presence there. Phil Spencer basically said we're pulling out all the stops at GDC. And so Shindizer, I think I'm saying that right, on Twitch says, do you think Xbox One sales are going to improve after the GDC?
I have literally no idea.
I mean, it depends on what they're announcing. If they're like, hey, we still have the Xbox, you know what I'm saying? Like, then no. But if they're like talking about a bunch of AAA titles they're gonna get that are exclusive to Xbox, and they're gonna do another price reduction, or they're gonna give away Kinects for free, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, I think they would have a little bit of a spike, but I don't think there's gonna be much of anything if they're just kind of saying we're still here, you know. Which I don't think that's gonna be the case, but
I don't think. Go ahead.
I don't see them improving immediately after. I think things have been so kind of shaky lately that until good titles start dropping, that's when I think their sales will improve.
Well, and I think that I don't know if they're going to come out and like make a huge announcement about like a new IP or a new exclusive game. I think we're going to see a lot of what we've seen already. You'll probably see some stuff from Halo 5. You'll probably see some stuff from Tomb Raider. You'll probably, a lot. They'll make some announcements, but it's not going to be anything that's going to drive sales. You know what I think we're going to see a lot of is more conceptualization of HoloLens, and that's like long game.
Yeah,
that's way down the road. And so I'm with you. I don't, and I guess you said this too. Like, I don't see anything immediately happening. E3 is the place where you try to make the whole like, we're making this announcement. Because all eyes are on you. Like, but it all depends on what gets announced.
I mean, I bought my Xbox for Master Chief Collection. Like, that's the only reason I bought an Xbox. I wouldn't have bought one if that wouldn't have come out. So, game like IP announcements really, that really drives console sales. Like, when you know I'm going to want to play this game, the only way I'm going to be able to play this game is if I get this console. That's what, I mean, that's what's going to make you, PlayStation, that's the reason you would like a PlayStation, right, Larry? Because they have games that you want to play on it.
Yeah, there are some things that are tempting there.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean. And
I hesitate to say this because I don't want to warm your hearts too much, but just where Xbox has been, I'm almost like, did I pick the wrong console?
Oh,
yeah, you did.
Yeah, well, I mean, and we had that conversation, right before launch, because you were still kind of up in the air about what you wanted to do. And I think there's still good things that are going to come from Xbox, and I think you would miss a lot of the things you get from your Xbox if you would have went PlayStation on the entertainment side of things.
It's true.
And
you just need to buy a PlayStation now.
See, this is why I didn't want to say that out loud.
Anyway, yeah. But anytime Phil Spencer gets up and talks, I feel like things improve.
That's true.
For Xbox. Like,
he's a wordsmith.
Like 343 could go out and like bomb some sort of public building and then the sales drop off. But Phil Spencer gets up and announces Battletoads and everybody's like, oh, Xbox is gone.
Battletoads! That's what they're going to announce.
There you go.
I'll buy an Xbox again for Battletoads.
Oh man, and that's
Make
what
it happen, Phil Spencer.
That's what Bethesda's going to announce. It's going to be a gritty, super realistic Battletoads.
Tony Hawk has been confirmed. They are working on a new. Tony Hawk has confirmed that they are working on a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. He put a picture on Instagram. Roses are red, violets are blue. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And then he put this romantic poem keeps circling the internets, so I'm keeping it going on Valentine's Day. Also, we are working on a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater to be released this year. Love, Tony Hawk.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Phil.
The thing that people are most excited about with this game is the soundtrack. Every comment I've seen on the internet has been the soundtrack is going to be great because people have gotten spoiled with the Skate series, and they're not going to like you. People played Tony Hawk Pro Skater because it was the only kind of skating game, but it was just so over the top. It was really fun to play. But the people who were really into skating now have got a chance to play Skate, and they're not going to like immediately jump on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater bandwagon. But music lovers, I think, will jump onto it. I'll jump onto it. I love
I
Tony
love
Hawk.
Tony Hawk. Yeah, I don't really care. I don't care about the content at all.
Do a 1020 spin up into space.
I want to do a McTwist 8,000 times.
With a dark slide grind at the end. I'm landing on the backside. Backside of my skateboard after doing a 12,040. Is that a thing?
No, maybe I don't know. I'm not.
I could never. I
As
tried
you
to
can
skate.
see, I'm pretty top heavy.
I'm not a
Skateboarding.
skateboard smith.
I tried to skate for a while. I learned how to do an ollie. That's it.
Dizzy and I tried to skate for a while. I could manual like crazy.
Could you?
I can too.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was more into BMX bikes. My mom bought me like a trick bike, and I could jump off of ramps and stuff. That's about it. I tried to do.
Oh, you're being serious.
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
Oh.
I tried to do a tailspin one time. I tried to do a tailspin one time when I jumped, and you apparently have to get like more than 6 inches off the ground to do one of those things.
Yeah.
Lauren and I don't want to have kids, and we probably have nothing to worry about on that front after that attempt.
The last time I rode a bike, we were way off the rails, but I don't care. I'm
That's
telling you
fine.
the story.
I want to tell you a bike story after your bike story.
I followed my friend on this really tall hill, Cameron, our friend that we grew
Yes,
up with.
Cameron Milan.
Right. No, my alum. And
You gave up.
at the bottom, I hit this mud puddle, and so the bike went down real hard, but then the shocks bounced it straight back up, and I flew over the handlebars. But in my confusion and panic, I didn't let go of the handlebars, so I landed on my feet and smashed my no place with my arm.
My no-no's at.
and then I front flipped into the ground and got my back cut up pretty good. It was great.
Well, that was your problem. Is most expert bike riders can ride their bike with no handlebars. You know. What's your bike story, Ben?
We were at Ocean Lakes. It's a little beach. It's a little beach, like campground, I guess you can say, in Myrtle Beach. And I was like 10, and I was riding my bike down the strip place that has that's like asphalt, but some of it's gravel, some of it's asphalt. And where we were staying, there was an asphalt part, and we were riding down it, and a golf cart was coming, and it wasn't looking, and so it ran me off the road. And well, I guess it's really their road, and I'm just kind of on it. But they came, and I swerved out of the way, and I hit a bump, and then I rolled off of my bike, and I rolled like a lot with the bike on top of me and stuff. And I got up, and there was probably maybe, I don't know, like 30% of my body that wasn't scratched up, and the rest of it was like scraped all to pieces. And then my mom made me get in the ocean. It was terrible.
Get a salt will heal your wounds.
It did. I didn't have any scars after that, though, which is pretty good.
Saltwater's magical.
Yeah.
Do you have a bike story, Seth?
Yeah, I had a buddy in high school.
How did we get here?
Skate.
Oh, okay. Great.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
What was that BMX game?
BMX Pro Skater 3.
There we go.
Exactly. Anyway, I had a buddy in high school, my senior year, that got into fixed gear bikes. And for those of you that don't know, fixed gear
I have no idea what that
bicycles, for a while, I don't know if they are anymore, but for a while they were really like the hipster thing to do. Like people in cities would love getting fixed gear bikes and riding around doing kind of tricks and whatnot, tricks and tracks.
Tricks and tracks.
Tricks and tracks. It's a word I made up. But anyway, a fixed gear bicycle only moves forward, really. You can't pedal backwards. A lot of people don't install brakes on them because there's a way of like locking up the pedals by pushing them backwards and stopping forward motion that allows you to kind of skid and slide to stop. And so I'm like, this guy goes out, he buys a fixed gear bike, paints it, and gets fancy little wheels and this, that, and the other. Yada yada yada. He's like, hey, you want to try this out, man? It's a lot of fun. Just be careful. We don't have brakes. I'm like, okay. I don't need brakes. Let me just go down this hill. And it's not a big hill, but I didn't realize without brakes how much speed you really pick up in motion. And so I go down, and all of a sudden I'm flying, and all of a sudden, and I hadn't ridden a bike in about 10 years. I didn't really realize.
Forget.
I didn't really realize. Well, I kind of forgot. I didn't really realize how long it had been since I had ridden a bike, and all of a sudden I was going fast. I was moving. I hadn't forgotten totally, but all of a sudden I got some speed wobble in the front wheel, and I start shaking around, and then all of a sudden I don't start turning, and I run into a curb and go flying off the bike and slide about 10 feet through the grass and mud and muck, and
Meyer.
and then I had to give him like $25 to get his
the worst
his wheels straightened out.
It's like it's wobbling, and then the wheel just falls apart, and then the axle just comes out, and then like the pedal just starts falling off, and
Something
then you're
like
just
that.
kind of skidding. It's
That's
like
how
a
it-
cartoon where you're just
Yeah,
skidding
that's
without a wheel.
exactly how
Yeah,
it felt.
he's still pedaling, and he's still going through the air right until he looks down, and then he crashes, along with your wallet.
That's pretty much exactly what happened.
All right, next item on the list, because we just moved way off the
It
chart.
was lots of fun.
That
Tony
was
Hawk
fun.
Pro Skater.
All right. The Destiny Cosmodrome was supposed to be 5 to 10 times bigger in an article. It was actually in an interview with Dads of Destiny. See, you can buy it. You can join Dads of Destiny. And they did an interview, Cosmodrome ride-along with a couple people from Bungie. But these quotes come from, I believe it was creative director. No, Bungie designer, Rob Adams. And these are some quotes.
Patch
Quote-
Adams.
Quote, there's a lot of stuff that didn't make the cut. I think our original version for this was something about 5 to 10 times bigger geographically, and our eyes were just way bigger. And our eyes were way bigger than our stomachs, end quote. Go ahead.
If they would have been upfront with that, I may not have been as angry as I was. Instead of all the way up to the game launch, me believing, you see that in the distance? You can go there.
I
Like
totally.
if they would have just been like, guys, to be honest with you, it was a bigger undertaking than we could have done. We still have a great game for you, but it's not that big. Like that would have been great. That would have been nice to hear instead
You
of
probably
all
would've
this
kept the
bull
game.
crap. Oh, if you just buy the DLC, things will get better.
I totally agree with you because for the way I understood it about 3 years ago, something like that, was you're going to run around on. I assumed back then that it was just Earth, and I think they had announced like maybe a couple other planets that you would go to, and you would run around on there, go as far and near as wherever you wanted to go. I didn't understand anything about going to orbit and waiting as a loading screen. I thought you would just go. From what I understood, they said something about like in the world, you found arenas in which to enter multiplayer combat and stuff like that, and that sounded awesome. Like I'm gonna go explore and I'm gonna run up on a coliseum that has some kind of crazy map in there, and that's what I'm gonna do. It didn't work that way.
Are you waiting to read this next quote?
Yeah, he cites 2 reasons for the reason that it gets condensed, and so
I want to speak to this reason once you do the quote.
okay, I'm just going to give them both, and then we can kind of react to both. First one, quote, we ended up condensing things to be closer and closer, and one of the biggest reasons we did that, and end quote, I don't believe that, continue quote, was we wanted players to see other players, and when you get a space that's too big, you just don't see anybody. It gets kind of empty and lonely. And the other problem is we have a limit to the number of combatants we can have in a space at any one time, end quote. Then here's the second reason. Quote, there's a part of me that wishes we could have 5 times as many players in a space and have 3 to 5 times the real estate. It's just a matter of working with the engine and working with the consoles over time to try to get closer to that dream, end quote. So here's the 2 reasons he gives. The first reason being, we wanted this to be a socially interactive game that for some reason we didn't add microphone support in. And we wanted you to be able to see other players. And if we get too big, you won't be able to see players. So that's his first reason. Second reason is we were constricted on the consoles that we had to release this game on. So, and if you remember, this was also released on PS3 and Xbox 360 along with the PS4 and Xbox One. Go ahead.
To speak to that point about like not being able to see anybody, I would have preferred that. I would have much rather had that happen because one, what I was told was the tower was supposed to be the meeting ground that you meet people, and you go out into the world and do your thing instead of like running up on like 30 people doing the same thing you're trying to do, and you're fighting through the same like mission where people are just kind of walking around outside the mission. It's not immersive. It's just really stupid, and I want to keep with my the people that I'm in my party with, and it's the universe. It's not supposed to feel small. Like it's supposed to feel like nobody else is out there and lonely because it's space. Like,
And you already said this sarcastically, but I just want to hit it again until this dead horse is beaten clear into the ground. Like, oh, cool, I can see more people. I can't do a thing with them. Like, make the game social or don't make the game social. Don't make it half social.
Yeah, it was like in this weird kind of purgatory of socialism. Right? Is that right?
right?
Not the best word.
Marxism 3 podcast.
Marxism 3.
But it was. I'm not going to say it again. You said it perfectly. Great job, Lee. Good job. Happy birthday.
Thanks. Happy birthday, Wyatt.
Happy birthday, White.
How strong? Bullcrap. It is bullcrap that the biggest reason that they made this decision was that they wanted you to be able to see other players. The main reason, the biggest reason, is the second reason that he gives, and it's the fact that Activision and Bungie looked at it and said, we have a big install base on PS3 and Xbox 360, and we're not willing to cut ties with that cash cow yet. So we're going to condense our game down to be able to fit it on something that isn't going to be able to handle the original vision that we had for it. If you wanted the maps to be 5 to 10 times bigger, just say we're going to release them on Xbox One and PS4 only. Because here's the thing. Destiny was the biggest new IP launch on this console generation, and it out. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Just
See,
it did absolutely nothing for people. It became the most infamous and divisive game to release on these consoles when it should have been the number one thing that gamers got to rally around and get excited about the consoles that they had just purchased. And they did a disservice to the early adopters of these consoles by saying, we're going to continue to make this game that we had such ambition for on PS3 and Xbox 360 and have to cut out what looks to be 5 to 10 times the amount of content that we could have fit on that disc.
And Bungie was this company that became a big thing off of having these grand visions and implementing them and doing this awesome stuff and having this great area they wanted to go with their games. And then they gave into the Activision mindset of, well, how much money can we make instead? I know they're not in this just because this is what they love to do, but Bungie was a company that always seemed to actually care about what they love to do.
Well, I think they still do, but when you get involved, when Activision's footing the bill for a lot of things, you know, they're going to be making a lot of the big decisions. You know, creative ambition only goes so far in the business world.
But that's what killed. What it didn't kill this game, but that's what hurt this game.
the thing of it is, they could, like, okay, it would suck for the people on last gen consoles. It would suck terribly. But they can pull a Shadow of Mordor on the people and say, okay, you're gonna get this game for last gen consoles, but it's gonna be condensed. It's gonna be really like closed up. And for those of you who are on current gen, we're going to make it what current gen can handle and have this vast open space-esque world that you're in the open, like, space is huge. Like, the world is huge. Like, why in the world do I want to see 30 of the same people that I'm with? There's not that many Guardians. It's a small town left on the earth. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. But it's a small group of people that are placed with this gift of being a Guardian. So why do I want to see 30 of them?
But I don't think they even needed to do that. This was supposed to be the game that showed off the capabilities of the new consoles. And, like, there were parts of that game that I loved. I will still admit that. But none of those parts were things that I'm like, man, look what the new console can do. It was, it balanced the multiplayer really well.
Well, I thought it showcased the best. It was gorgeous. It still is gorgeous. It's beautiful. And I think it's one of the most visually striking games out there right now. Except for the cutscenes. Of course, they weren't motion capture cutscenes like Advanced Warfare.
And there's like 3
Halo.
of them, so.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wait, there's cutscenes in this game?
If that. But, yeah, I mean, it looks great, and I think it captures some of what these consoles can do in that, because it definitely looks a lot better than it does on the 360 or the PS3. But beyond that.
Beyond.
In memoriam. It doesn't really do that much.
Yeah, and this argument kind of feels a bit like posturing for the sequel that's inevitably going to come for this game to say, hey, we're not doing the PS3 360 thing anymore, so we've freed up so much of our development to go towards the new console. So all this stuff that we promised you was going to be in the other one that wasn't, we're bringing it in this one. And it's like now they have a moment to point back to. Like, remember when we talked about all of the restrictions that releasing on the last gen consoles put on us? Like, here we go. We're now going to be able to deliver on it. And it's just like you got to make the tough decisions. Like, and the tough decision here was we're either not going to release on PS3 or 360, or they're just going to get a massively stripped down version of this thing, and they're just going to have to be okay with it because there is a benefit for being an early adopter. And we're going to do right by our people because this is setting the pace, and now they're having to play catch up with where they could have been, just rolling around in the money. They're still rolling around in the money people gave them for this game, but like they're not going to they're going to have to spend so much time for the sequel to Destiny, whatever it's going to be called, rebuilding bridges that they've burned.
Mm-hmm.
that they could have just used hyping up this game and making it piggybacking off the awesomeness of the first.
And just be upfront. Be honest about what you're putting out. Like, I love Titanfall. It's nowhere near what Destiny is. But they didn't market it to me as that either.
Milky513 agrees, says trimming it down for previous gen would have been the best bet. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And you just like, it's, I was going to come up with an analogy, but it doesn't even need an analogy.
Yeah,
just say, hey, if you want the best version of this game, buy the best hardware that's available to play it on. And if not, just take what you get and be okay.
Yeah, when I was still rocking my 360, I was not expecting to have Xbox One games.
Right.
It
Right.
sucks, but it is what it is. I don't expect to pop a PC game into my Xbox and run it.
Yeah.
All right, so that was it for news.
News with the podcast, guys. Happy birthday, Wyatt.
Okay, I got to think of a random question. Hey, this will be a good time for me to just shout out, say if you have any questions that you would like us to talk about on the podcast, we would love to discuss those. We got a question in an email that we'll talk about next week, just because I want to do some reading up on it, and I think we all would like to do some reading up on it before talking about it. So if you have any questions about stuff you would like us to talk about, hit us up with it, and we will discuss it. So
Is that a random question?
No, that's not the
Okay.
random question. I'm still thinking of the random question. Do you guys have any random questions?
I need a jingle if we're going to do a random question.
Hey, actually, we just have a comment. Great jingles, lol. Milky513.
You're welcome, Milky.
Thank you, Milky513.
Milky, I don't know how you got such horrible taste.
Don't alienate the fans. Don't alienate them.
I hate all of our.
Can I do I jingle now or
Yeah, go ahead.
random question of the week for the month for this week?
Okay, all right.
Happy birthday, Wyatt.
This is a random question in the sense of it has absolutely nothing to do with video games. All right. We're expecting a snowstorm here.
We're having a heat wave.
Octavia.
We're gonna get
That's the
6
opposite
to,
of what we're having.
we're gonna get 6 to 12 inches of snow.
They named it Octavia.
The snowstorm has a name.
Yeah, dude.
They
When
named
did they start
snowstorms?
doing that?
I don't know. But I was telling Jessica this. When I was trying to think of a middle name when I wanted to name my daughter October, it should have been October Octavia Hunt. And then she would just leave a trail of bodies.
Then her initials would spell ooh.
Yeah.
Or oh.
It's not too late to legally change that.
Yeah, it is. No, it's not. It
It's
never
never
is.
too late.
Never too late to legally change it.
Sorry, continue.
Okay, so
Snowstorm
I was
Octavia.
going to ask you guys, what is your favorite snow memory of all time? Your favorite snow memory of all time, and then we'll get back into video games because we have some questions rolling in.
Favorite snow memory.
Mine is easy. I'll kick us off while you think. So, we used to live in Gastonia, North Carolina, and I have an older brother, 2 older sisters, and a little sister. And one day it snowed, and my mom was like crazy when it snowed because we would always want to go outside and play in it, and she just made us do all kinds of crazy stuff like wear bags on our feet, like plastic bags, so that our feet wouldn't get wet and we'd get pneumonia and die.
Yeah.
But we get all bundled up and we go outside. And we're like, we're going to have a snowball fight because we had like this cool little wall that you could hide behind and throw snowballs at each other. We're out there for, I don't know, 3, 4 minutes. And I was like 7. And so my middle sister, she was like 11 maybe. I pick up this snowball. I make this perfect snowball and I throw it at her face. And she starts hyperventilating. Like rolling around in the snow, can't catch her breath, like horrible. And that is the day that we discovered my sister is extremely asthmatic. But I thought
Which sister was this?
This was Libby. I thought I was awesome because I almost killed my sister with a snowball. So that's my favorite.
I
My
am
favorite-
all that is man.
That's right. All right. You
So
guys.
one day we had a lovely snow and a bunch of guys from my youth group. We went over to my youth minister's house and with a bunch of sleds and we had a bunch of lightsabers. And so we would sleigh ride down this hill. One dude would steer while the other dude tried to knock the other guys off of their sled with a lightsaber. It was a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome.
Let's do it tomorrow.
We should.
I've got like 8 lightsabers.
Can you get here?
I'm from West Virginia.
I remember one time. I don't really know how to pick a favorite snow memory. Because a lot of my memories are just general stuff, like sledding down the hill behind in a house, your parents run around, first taste of freedom with your friends, whatever. back when you're like 10 years old. But I'm gonna say, and I'm not really sure if this is a favorite memory or not, but my first semester of college, we had a huge snowstorm in Farmville. It was just astronomical, but they didn't even cancel classes for some reason or another. And so I'm walking to class in Granger, the English building, and they hadn't blocked off this section yet. There was an entrance on the basement level, and it was about a three-story building, including that basement. And I look up. I was going in, just happened to look up, and all of a sudden, an icicle crashes right beside me, and I'm, oh my god! And I look up again, and it was so cold, and there was so much, I guess, precipitation that had come down in various forms that there were just hundreds of icicles, probably about 3 feet long, hanging down from this building, and that's how I knew that Jesus loved me, is that he saved my life from this icicle, and the hundreds of others that didn't fall right then and there. Soon after, they put caution tape around and blocked that door off.
I don't have a
try to
long
save face.
I don't have a long story for my favorite snow story, but it was a really fun day. I used to live in Shannon Hills out here. It was like a housing development around the area we live in now, and a buddy of mine, Adam, lived down the street from us, and he was within walking distance. And whenever it snowed, we would do this thing called the Winter Olympics, where we'd do snowball fights with my now wife Nicole and his now wife Diana, and we'd have snowball fights, and we'd build up like jump snow ramps and stuff, and it was just a lot of fun. And we had the one it was a winter, like I don't know, like 3 years ago or something, where it snowed like super deep. You guys remember that snow? I don't know if it was. I don't remember how deep it snowed, but it was like crazy deep snow, and we were snowed in for like a week or something, and that was a lot of fun. That was like every day we did that. It was great. It was cool.
Word. All right, let's get back into video games here. We have a really good question that came in from two different people, from Chrisen and from Milky513. It's the same question. Do you think that games as short as games like Grow Home get a good critical reception because they are short? And then to rephrase the question, are shorter games not judged as harshly due to the lack of content, or are longer games penalized for butting in too much filler? And so does a game that's short and simple get better critical acclaim because there's not as much content to judge?
Sort of like a Shovel Knight kind of thing?
Yeah. Or what's that game we played? Was it Gone Home that we played the night that I did my my stream?
Was it just
home?
Yeah. Was it just home? Yeah.
Home. I don't think necessarily. I mean, that home game we didn't really care for too much, just because and it was very, very short. We finished it in an hour?
Yeah,
something like that. It just depends on. I feel like I have a really strong opinion on this, but I can't verbalize it. Someone else talk.
I'm not the one to verbalize strong opinions.
I think it is probably easier to win people over with a shorter game because our expectations are lower. You're just expecting a short, fun experience, and you're not expecting like this massive epic to be told.
Yeah.
And so the stakes are lower, so it's easier to win. And when you lose, it's not a big deal because people are like, oh, whatever.
When Kristen elaborates. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I mean, do they get more coverage because they are easier to review and talk about? I don't think that they get more coverage necessarily, because there are a lot more indie games and pixelated whatnots and doodads that come out. It seems like every day. The PlayStation Store is full of them. I know. I just think every once in a while a few come along a year that get a really good buzz because they're just simple. They're simply fun to play. Like when we got Resogun for the PlayStation 4, the first free release they had.
Gosh.
We had a blast playing that for a few weeks. It was awesome.
Or IDAR.
It was just or IDAR that just came out for the free Xbox Live game this month on Xbox One. Those games are they can be a lot of fun just for what they are, but I don't think they necessarily generate as much. They definitely don't generate as much buzz as AAA titles, things like that.
Are you gonna?
Well, I have a couple points, but you go ahead.
Well, it's kind of to what I said earlier, but I think when you start, I think the problem comes in when you start making your games to critics then instead of making them to consumers. Like you start building your games around, okay, how is this going to get rated on Metacritic or Game Informer or IGN? Like who's gonna how are my games going to be perceived by the people who are very critical of these games, and then how are my games going to be perceived by people who are actually playing them on a regular basis? Like I think once developers start saying, okay, is this game that's 12 hours long going to be fun, or is this game that's 150 hours long going to be as enjoyable for the people who like that kind of game? Like if you're making your game towards a certain consumer base, you don't worry so much about the criticism you'll get from the time standpoint. It's just the making your game fun and enjoyable for the base of players that you're making the game for.
Well, I feel like that's a little flawed, especially with like new IPs. Things like Evolve, a lot of times they'll probably rely on those reviews and the buzz that bloggers and things like that, the guys that are having early copies of the game can say about it. That's all they have to go on.
Well, Evolve's like a multiplayer. Like that's like straight multiplayer.
Well,
like you can't put an
not
hour
just
base
Evolve,
to it.
but new new IPs, things like that are coming out.
Like The Order.
Yeah.
Like The Order's
just
relying very heavily on, because and I mean it's a product of the time that we're in gaming, of like you feel like you've got to step back and wait for the word to come in on a game from other people. But I would agree with Kristen's point about that it's easier to review a game and it's easier to get the word going quickly about a game like The Order than it is about Skyrim, because you're discovering new things about Skyrim 60 hours into it.
Yeah.
And so it takes longer to review. That's why I like IGN moving to the direction of like, this is our review in progress, because games are so big that like, okay, the Destiny that we have here is not going to be the same Destiny we have here. Mm-hmm. And Destiny at level 17 is different than Destiny at level 30. And so doing those in review, like in progress kind of reviews. But a couple points I was going to make with the shorter games, I think it's harder to get good traction because in a game like Skyrim, there's going to be things about it you don't necessarily like, but there's plenty about it that you will like. Mm-hmm. In games like Fallout and Dragon Age Inquisition and bigger games like that. But with a shorter game, you're relying on a narrower focus to make a maximum impact. Like Home, for example, is a very small game. It's only an hour long. And when I got to the end, I felt like I wasted an hour because it kind of left a creepy feeling, but only because I didn't understand it. But like, if I'm going to invest time to play a shorter game that really only has one direction, they really need to be able to deliver well on that one direction. Whereas a game like Skyrim or Fallout can get a passive. This part isn't done really well because this part is done really, really well. And then I have a second point, but I don't know what it is. So one of you guys go to any other thoughts on this? You good? Oh, the whole the idea of the review window, because that was what he was really asking about. And obviously, you get a game like The Order 1886 takes you 10 hours to finish. It's much easier to review. And I think I already said that point. Okay, we have another question here from Empty Vials. I was having a discussion last night with a friend about a comparison of ratings for a game like GTA 5 that delivers so much content and Call of Duty that's the same game year in and year out. How do you rate those games against each other, or can you even?
I'm sure you can. I don't think you should. I mean, I was reading a Game Informer a while back. I think it was maybe last month's issue, in which they were talking about... what was it? Not necessarily. You can't really have the same rubric for every game. A lot of
genres.
Right. There are hundreds of different genres and subgenres. Yada yada yada. You can't judge them by the same thing. You have to go by how much. I mean, it's got to be subjective to one degree or another, because you're playing a game. It's an entertainment medium. You have to base it to some degree on how much you enjoy it. You can't be totally objective in playing a game. You can't say, "Oh, this is based on the graphics are great. I give this game a 10." when you've got games that are great like The Walking Dead from Telltale that have the worst graphics. Well, not the worst graphics, but
Cell shading, yeah.
That shell shaded. Blah, blah.
Yeah, I think if you're going to, it's like an apples to oranges kind of thing with a game like Skyrim and Call of Duty, because the way that I review games, at least, is I go in with expectations that the developer has given me, or the publisher, whoever's making the announcements about these games. I go in with the expectations that are built on what they have said and compare how they deliver on those expectations to the expectations themselves. And with a game like Call of Duty, you're going in with the expectation that, like, okay, it's not going to be much different than the last Call of Duty, but the things that have changed, did those changes benefit the overall game? Mm-hmm. And you kind of compare them to that. And so you can't compare Skyrim to Call of Duty just because they fall in two totally separate,
or GTA
in two totally separate genres of games.
And I think the whole review thing too, you need to take it with a grain of salt. Like, what are you going to be into this game in the first place? Like, is this the kind of game that kind of tickles your fancy? Like, when I think about that, I think about like the fact that me and Larry, and I don't know if you do, you like it too, Seth. Kung Pao, that movie is so awesome. I would recommend it to anybody to watch, but Luke absolutely hates that movie, even though he quotes it on a religious basis.
I quote it because it's become a group quote, not a movie quote. Right?
But the fact of that movie, I would give that movie an 8 out of 10. Luke would give that movie a -3, probably.
Yeah,
and
that's kind of high.
And it's kind of high. In the same respect with video games, like if I'm gonna play, I don't know, like if I played that home game, I would have probably given it a lot less of a rating than you guys. In the same respect with, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a game that, like, me playing NBA 2K, I'm gonna give that like a great rating along with how good it is, because I really enjoy that kind of game. But Larry, on the other hand, does not care about sports games, and he'll give it a rating depending on how the graphics look and how the gameplay feels and stuff like that. But his standpoint on it won't be as firm as mine, because I am used to those kind of games. So whenever you look at ratings, take it with a grain of salt. Am I going to like this game in the first place? Am I going to like how it what the game's about, that kind of thing, or is it a game that I'm not really going to be that into? And then the comparison side of it comes in when you're like, okay, this game is open world and vast, and this game is a first-person shooter that has a kind of cool story. Like, how are the ratings feeding into those two genres of what the game is?
And for that reason, I think the best reviews are not the number, not the score, but when someone explains to you the features of the game and how those features feel. Pay attention to that more than a number.
Right.
Yeah, Joystick is moving away from scores. They're not doing number scores anymore, because it becomes like a sticking. Because we live in the society that reads the headlines and not the article, and so you read the 8.5 and you have no idea why the game got an 8.5, and you buy it and you get into it, and the thing that made it lose a 1.5 is the thing that you hate the most, like, about the game. And Pasta Padre has done that forever. He runs a sports gaming website, and whenever he reviews a game, he doesn't talk about a number score that he gives it. He talks about this is what they got right and this is what they missed, and then lays that out for the consumer, because it becomes something where you can make an assessment about a game and not really understand why that assessment was made. And if you're going to use a number, and this is something that Player 3 Podcast is going to start doing, I think, too, and is if we're going to use a number, if we decide that's where we want to go, we need to have a rubric of some fashion that says, hey, a 9 means this, an 8 means this, a 7 means this. Yeah. But I would like to see us just move totally away from review scores and just talk about, this is what it got right, this is what it got wrong, this is what you need to be on the lookout if you're going to buy it. And we're not recommending the purchase of any game, because I don't know what you like. Like, you would recommend me watching Kung Pao because I like certain movies like that, but it didn't hit well with me, and so now I look at the person recommending it and think, well, they don't really know what they're talking about. So
right,
that's one of the tricky things about number scores and star scores. Like the movies, you see a trailer for Jupiter Ascending or something like that, and you see all the things in the commercial: 4 stars, 5 stars, 18 stars. And then they have in tiny subscript underneath where it came from and who it came from. You could pick up a game and see like in bold print, 10 out of 10, 10/10 on the cover, and not look underneath and it's say Player 3 Podcasts, who no one knows who they are.
Wait, yeah, they do.
All these 8 people watching us right now.
all 8. So yeah, you've got to be careful. You've got to be critical. Go to different sources when you're reading reviews, because you could just get one from some jamoke out in Russia who's, I don't like this game, basically because it's not Half-Life 2. Talking about Skyrim.
You know what we should do is we should. Milky513 says he's guilty of sometimes scrolling to the bottom of a review just to see the score without reading the article. Here's what we need to do. Let's not scrap the scores. What we do is we lock it behind a quiz where you have to answer 3 questions related to the material in the article to see what our score.
That seems like a lot of work.
Score is.
It seems like a lot of work.
It is, and we're probably not going to do it. But like, I was making a point and then I forgot my point. Because those messages just keep scrolling.
It's like my wife when she wrote in the newsletter she sends home to her kids' parents, write winner on your newsletter if you read this newsletter. And none of them, like one parent wrote winner on the newsletter, but all of them checked that they read it.
Here's a. Go ahead.
If you're still on this, go.
Okay, moving on to another point that Kristen made. He says, I think peer reviews are more important than ever. So, like, coming from people who play the game. Your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think that's a lot more valuable than like a big time game company reviewing them.
But even those, you need to know where they came from. Like IMDb, Internet Movie Database, their scores have become pretty unreliable because people will be like a major fan of something. Like huge Harry Potter fans, movie's not even out. Let's drive that score up to 10 without even knowing what's in the movie.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So you got to know where the peer reviews are coming from, and that's kind of tricky.
I would say rely a lot on your peers, the people that you interact with on a personal basis.
So make real life friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't trust peer reviews really at all when it comes to just people who have no stake in this and they're hiding behind a username of some sort giving me an opinion about a game, because Evolve has terrible scores online because of what was perceived to be the problem with their DLC model, with people who did absolutely no research into it and probably have no experience playing the game. And again, on those peer review sites, a lot of times, what happens is people look at the collective peer review score and they say, man, Evolve's got a 4.5 out of 10 on Metacritic. And I don't know what their score is on Metacritic right now, but and they don't go in and look for the peer reviews that are really well thought out.
Ooh, what if Xbox Live and PlayStation Network put a system on the consoles where you rate the game on the console and the score is weighted by how many hours you've put into the game?
Ooh.
That would be slick.
That would work really well because Xbox Live logs your hours.
That wouldn't necessarily work, because if you really, really enjoy a game, like if you're going to pour 60 hours into Skyrim, you're going to give it 5 stars, right?
It's not super weighted.
Oh, okay.
But like someone who spent 30 minutes on the game, like, okay, you review factors, but not very much.
Evolve's got a 79 out of 100 on Metacritic.
Okay.
If it did a thing like Netflix where, based on your ratings of other things, it rates how you might like this.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah. I like it. Or
make it happen, Phil Spencer.
this would this would require some development cost. But like, if after a certain thing in the game, like feature or game mode or whatever, it gives you an opportunity to review and rate just that particular game mode. So like if I'm playing Madden and I get done with my first season of franchise mode, a screen pops up, says, hey, what'd you think about franchise mode? And then it's even more specific within it, because I'm getting to, and then I can organize by, hey, here's what people think about franchise mode in Madden. And again, weighted by the time that you spend in it. I like that.
Phil Spencer, make it happen.
Make it happen, Phil Spencer.
Hey,
Hideo Kojima, make it happen.
we're almost to the 2-hour mark, but we skipped over one question, and I think we should just no explanation, just answer it. Someone asked what our favorite games of all time were. I know we've answered that before,
Okay.
but just spit it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta go first. Skyrim. Yeah, I'm sorry. Skyrim. Fallout 3.
I'm out.
Jack,
Okay,
the Jack
Seth.
and Daxter series. You said spit them out.
I'd probably say my favorite of all time is Metal Gear Solid. I've said it before, said it again. Great, innovative gameplay, story, metafiction, loot.
Favorite all-time series, just for nostalgia point, Madden.
Mirror's Edge.
Boom, baby. Hey, in my dream, you were talking about getting to play Mirror's Edge 2 to all of the people that showed up to our panel discussion. It was great.
Great.
We
I
have
had
a
a brilliant
panel
dream.
discussion at E3.
Yeah, in my dream.
Glorious.
Not in real life, because 10 people would show up.
Hey,
All right. I think that's it, boys.
Okay.
Good,
Yeah.
good cast.
That was great. We went for a while there. I think we went for like an hour and 45 minutes. It's all right. We have plenty of space on Podbean. We should talk about special episodes. Let's stick around on the stream for a few minutes afterwards. Talk about special episodes that you'd want
Get
us
some
to
suggestions from you guys,
that you'd
the
want us to do.
viewers.
We got
you
some
can get
cool
some
stuff.
suggestions for what to get for lunch.
Yeah, that too. We have some special stuff in store for March. Be on the lookout for that. We have a special episode that's going to involve a huge undertaking that we're going to talk about when we go to lunch. So stick around on the stream, but we're going to finish up this podcast. Let's go around the table.
And do our normal thing.
Yeah, do our normal thing.
You can find me on Xbox Live. This is Ben talking. You can find me on Xbox Live at Who Bomb Trady. That's 3 words. Who Bomb Trady. And then you can find me on PlayStation at the same username, 1 word though. And then I'm also on Twitch at the same username, 1 word. Who Bomb Trady. That's it. That's all I feel like giving you.
Hey, I'm Seth. You can find me on the PlayStation Network at Buttzors. That's Buttzorz. Buttzors, not butt sores. There are no sores there. Zors. It was a fad to say for a while, Zors, and I thought it'd be funny. You can find me on the Xbox Live at Dongzors, Dongzorz. I've got a monopoly on the whole lower body thing going on.
Explain it every week.
He says it every week.
And Twitch, on the rare occasion that I stream, you can find me on the Twitch Zors at Buttzors as well.
I'm on Twitter and Twitch at Lair Hunts Zombies. LAR Hunts Zombies.
And go find his lonely self on Google Plus, please.
Plus
Larry
Larry
Hunt.
Yep.
All right.
And my social security number is.
And you give him beds.
It's like, how'd you get that? I've been stealing your identity for years.
You can find me personally on Twitter at TK from Antioch, and you can find me on the PlayStation Network at Lodger Blackman, Lodger Blackman. I am clearly not a black man.
Well, not clearly to the listeners, but
Yeah.
well, kinda. I mean, audibly.
Yeah, I'd sound pretty white.
Disc golf. He's black.
And you can find me on the Xbox Live at Download a Hoagie. You'll get that if you love it. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We are Player 3 Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher. Just search Player 3 Podcast and Blueberry. You can find us at Player 3 Podcast on Twitter. Player 3 Podcast. Player3podcast.com is our website. YouTube.com/Player 3 Podcast to see all of our podcasts in video form and see our beautiful faces. The always visually stunning Larry Hunt, and then. Oh, and it started snowing, ladies and gentlemen, and that's going to send us away. Thank you for listening to Player 3 Podcast.
Player 3 Podcast!
P3P.
Happy birthday, Wyatt.